you would please bow your head. Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for the opportunity to serve the citizens of Shreveport. Please be with us as we make decisions that impact our community and everyone in our community. Lord, we pray for our first responders to give them safety. We pray for everyone's safety coming back and forth to this meeting during the bad weather. In your name, Lord, amen.
Amen. Please repeat with me. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, will you call the roll, please?
Councilwoman Taylor. Councilwoman Fuller.
Here.
Councilman Nicholson.
Present.
Councilman Busher.
Here.
Councilman Jackson.
Here.
Councilman Green.
I'm here.
And Councilman Baldwin.
Here. Is there a motion to approve the minutes of the administrative conference and council meeting from Tuesday, November 18th, 2022?
So moved.
Second.
Been moved by Councilman Nicholson, second by Councilman Jackson.
My computer's hung up, but I'm an aye. They're good.
That's a yea from you, Councilwoman.
Yes.
Motion carries with 6. Does any council member have any awards, recognitions, or distinguished guests not to exceed 15 minutes at this time?
Is Pastor Dansby here? Aye. Madam Clerk, would you read the resolution for Pastor Dansby? Would you mind coming up front, Pastor? And Ms. Scott? It's good to see you, Attorney Scott.
A resolution dedicating the 1800 block of Russell Road in honor of Dr. John H. Dansby Sr. Whereas Dr. John H. Dansby Sr. has been the full-time minister of the Russell Road Church of Christ, located at 1852 Russell Road for 39 years. Whereas Dr. Dansby has been working in leadership for over 46 years. And whereas Dr. Dansby taught management, leadership, and communications for Wiley College, Louisiana Tech University, and for Central Texas College. Whereas Dr. Dansby works as the Director of Staff and Finance for the National Crusade for Christ and has held this position for 26 years. Whereas Dr. Dansby purchased television time, negotiated hotel contracts at unbelievable rates, obtained various other service contracts, and kept the crusade effort out of the red. Whereas as a career military man, Dr. Dansby gained experience in a wide variety of staff and line positions that were related to management of personnel, materials, and finance. Whereas Dr. Dansby's decorations include the Bronze Star Medal, the Meritorious Service Medal with Oak Leaf Cluster, the Air Force Commendation Medal with 2 Oak Leaf Clusters, and the Army Commendation Medal. He retired after 28 years in the military at the highest enlisted rank, Chief Master Sergeant. Whereas Dr. Dansby received a Bachelor of Arts degree in Business Administration from Louisiana Tech University in Ruston, Louisiana. He received a Master of Business Administration, a Master of Arts in General Counseling, and he also received an Honorary Doctor of Laws from Southwestern Christian College. Whereas Dr. Dansby has been a member of the Board of Trustees of Southwestern Christian College for more than 20 years, where he presently serves as chairman of the board. Whereas Dr. Dansby's wife of 61 years is the former Doris J. James. They have 4 children, 12 grandchildren, and 6 great-grandchildren. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Council of the City of Shreveport in due regular and legal session convened that the mayor on behalf of the city is authorized to dedicate the 1800 block of Russell Road in honor of Dr. John H. Dansby Sr.
Dr. Dansby, you looked a little shocked right now. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Congratulations, sir. And thank you for your service to this community and all that you have done. I mean, your background is honorable. I'm like, okay, then Dr. Dansby, you have it going on for real.
And thank you so much, all of you, for your service to the city of Shreveport, Louisiana.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Attorney Scott.
To this honorable council, I'm so elated that this is my minister. I've known him for over 50, well, I would say 47, probably came to Shreveport when I was about 10. And he's been in leadership. He's been my mentor. He's military, so you really have to pay attention and obey. So I appreciate his commitment to Christ. And I thank him so much for guiding me. If it wasn't for the Church of Christ, I wouldn't be here. So thank you so much.
Let me give you this proclamation, sir.
Picture. Thank you.
Is Mike Nolan and Dr. Chapman from Protect. You come up.
Hello. So I'm Mike Nolan. I'm the pediatric trauma coordinator at Oxnard LSU Shreveport, and I'm also part of the Protect team. And we're here to talk to you about this program that we've put in place. It started in May of this year is when it actually went live. We started with a group of about 5 people sitting in a room 2 years ago to discuss the issues with gun violence in our kids and teenagers. Shortly after we started meeting, the American College of Surgeons came out with an endorsement to what they call hospital-based violence intervention programs, and that's what Protect is. We didn't come up with it on our own. Through networking through Pediatric Trauma Society, we were able to get mentored by a facility that's been doing this since 2012, I think. And they've shown how it actually helps. They've seen great achievements, and they've decreased the amount of kids that return with another injury. So our program specifically targets currently 17 years and under that have been injured due to gunshots. We have, be it if it's violent injury, or if it's just, say a hunting accident, or they don't have proper safe training. We have arms for all of it. The reason that we're here today is one of the things we learned from our mentor in the beginning was until the community knows what our program is, what we're doing, it's not easy to get the families to enroll in it so we can get them the resources they need. Once we went live, we saw quickly that this was a true statement. We were less than 20% of the families that we approached actually enrolled. So that's why we're here today, to get you all to take it back to your constituents, anywhere you are, church, work, wherever, talk about Protect. So they already know who we are. The goal is to get it to where the matriarchs and patriarchs of the community already know who we are. And when we walk into the room to talk to them and offer them the resources, they have an idea of who we are. So to give you a kind of a background on what we're doing, we're trying to take a public health approach to the gun violence. So what does that look like? So I'll give you 2 scenarios. We'll talk about a child that comes into the ER for the first time ever for high blood sugar. They've never been diagnosed as a diabetic before, but they come in with high blood sugar. We fix the blood sugar problem in the ER immediately. They generally get admitted to the floor. While they're on the floor, dietitians see them, pharmacists see them. We give them appointments with specialty services. We offer them digital medicine where they get a glucometer. Through the digital medicine, they have a diabetic trained pharmacist, again, dietitians, and just a diabetic specialist that talks to the child and family at different times to tell them or give them the tools they need to not have to come into the ER because of high blood sugar again. Let's take that same child a week later, comes back in because he's been injured by a gunshot wound. He comes into the ER, we treat their injuries. We were the first pediatric trauma center in the state of Louisiana. We can treat those injuries better than, or as good as anybody in the country. Usually they will get admitted, we'll continue to heal their wounds, and when it's time to get discharged, they may get an appointment for a specialty to help that specific wound, but as far as the circumstances that led them to getting shot, they're basically told, try not to get shot again. And that's the way it is across the country. So we've trying to take a public health view. We want to give them the same tools to a child that's been injured because of a gunshot wound to not come back because of that as we would somebody with diabetes or high blood pressure, things like that. So what we've done, we've partnered with several community resources that were already available. We've met with them at extensive lengths, vetted them, they've vetted us. And so we have a partnership with them. Any child that gets injured by a gunshot wound, 17 and under, we see them, the social worker does a little quick assessment, kind of a, we call it the down and dirty assessment. Do you have a house? Do you have food? Do you have clothes? Those kind of things. Once they enroll in the program, if they choose to, that's when we do a much deeper dive into their circumstances. And it's not just for the child, it's for the family as well. We offer services that can help them get education, learn how to take job interviews, help with bills if they need it. Anything we can do to change their trajectory. So the reason that we're here today is it breaks my heart to go in and talk to a family, and I know that we can offer them services, but you know, they don't know me. I'm just some guy that walked into their room, you know, 50-something years old and work in a hospital. I don't know them, they don't know me. So we want them to understand what the program is. And I'll let Dr. Chapman talk. He's got all the data and things like that.
Sure. I'm Brett Chapman. I'm one of the 4 trauma surgeons in the city and the region, and I'm the medical director of the PROTECT program. So what I want to do is really kind of give a frame of reference or context to exactly the problem we face, because it is quite an uphill battle, and we're often at disadvantage, and we hope this program can kind of turn that around in one arena at least. In May of this year, the most prominent medical journal in the world, the New England Journal of Medicine, published an in-depth analysis of all of the firearm injury data from the CDC from 1999 to 2019. And the years 2020 and 2021 data came out in the subsequent months, just recently, actually. So what we know from that is that in 2021, there were 49,000 firearm-related deaths in the United States, which is a record for the country since they've been recording by far. For a frame of reference for that, that's 7 times more than all casualties for all U.S. conflicts since 2001 when we had 9/11. So Iraq, Afghanistan, every other conflict, 7-fold, and that was just last year here at home. So that really highlights just the scale of the problem we face in a nutshell. And if you look at that 49,000, that's a 9% increase from 2020, which itself was a 14% increase from 2019. So we've had quite a sharp increase in the last several years. And we see that when we break it down and kind of look at the gaps in that analysis. So from 1999 to 2014, there was a pretty steady rate of firearm-related deaths in the country. It was about the same number every year, little ebbs and flows, but nothing major. From 2015 to 2019, we saw a gradual but steady increase in firearm-related deaths. And in 2019, that number really skyrocketed, and it's been on an uphill trend for the past 3 years since then, and it hasn't really abated. So that sort of triggered us in terms of what exactly is going on and how can we intervene. And we think of those numbers as nationally, but it actually is not just nationally. That affects us here in Louisiana, where Louisiana is the second in per capita gun death in the country behind only Mississippi. And that extends even here closer to home in Shreveport, where the 2019 FBI crime data showed that we were the 25th highest rated per capita homicide city in the country. So those numbers are somber and striking, and I think that is important because it really frames what we're up against and what we're trying to do. And if you look at that in terms of children and adolescents specifically, which is the goal of our program, it's not much better. You know, you think that's only adults, which is sadly not the case. So in that data from 2019, there was a 30% increase from the year prior in specifically children and adolescents who had firearm-related deaths. And that was more than double the general population increase. That was about 14% for everyone total. And children specifically were 30% increase from one year to the next. And that's gone down a little bit each year, but it's still on an uphill rise from 2019 to 2020, 21, and even into this year. Those numbers also are reflected here at home too, and specifically Shreveport. So as Mike mentioned, we have the only level 1 or the only pediatric trauma center that's verified in the state of Louisiana by the American College of Surgeons, which is the national organization that verifies trauma centers across the country and maintains quality, and they visit every several years to make sure that we're doing the right stuff, having the right quality metrics, and hitting all those standards. So when they came for their last visit, actually in July of 21, in the middle of our presentation about our pediatric firearm data, they made us stop because they said, rerun the numbers, there's no way this is true. We have a 26% firearm-related injury of all of our patients. So if you take all pediatric patients that come to our trauma center here in Shreveport, 26% of those are here for gun-related injuries. The national average is 8%. So our trauma center has 3 times the national average in terms of percentage of kids who come in with gunshot wounds. Now, why is that important? Obviously, that's a huge number, but in 2019, which has the unsettling designation of being the first year in record where the #1 cause of death for children and adolescents in this country was bullets. So historically, it's been car wrecks every year since we've been tracking that data, but in 2019 and the 3 years since, the #1 cause of death of kids in this country is bullets. So this is certainly not a problem that kids are immune from, and that's really the impetus of why this program started. As Mike said, a few people in a room, and I wasn't there, but thankfully been able to join on to this effort since then. But that really was the birth of this program that's now coming into fruition, and we're trying to keep that on an uptrend so we can kind of beat back those numbers as they come. Now, the important thing that we're trying to take from all this is that, as Mike mentioned, there are modifiable things that we can encounter with these kids. And it may not be every single patient has something we can change, or there might not be a magical fix. You know, if someone's walking down the street and there's a stray bullet, you can't really prevent that problem from happening again. But our goal is to really examine these in detail with a 360-degree evaluation, because most of these patients, most of these kids, there's something that we can intervene on. It may not be, you know, the 100% flip the switch, 0% chance this ever happens again, but we can decrease their risk of having a second injury, a third injury. And that really is more of a problem than you would expect. If you look at all of the national trauma centers, the recidivism rate, or the rate of patients who come back to the trauma center for a second time, a third time, is about 12 to 15%. So 15 out of 100 patients who come to our trauma center have been there before. And so our goal is to really cut that number drastically, especially in our kids. You know, gun violence is obviously a very multifactorial problem, and I won't sit here and pretend to understand every nuance and facet of it, and I don't think anyone can stand here and say they do, but what we do know is there are targeted areas where we can make a difference, and we think this is one of them, where we can identify this population, these kids, and really intervene and make a difference in that population moving forward. Now, the problem with programs like this, I'll say, is that they really rely on help. These hospital violence intervention programs are kind of fraught with the issue of can they survive, and that really is a tragedy. And the reason that happens is that people put in thousands of hours of work and they build these foundations, and then after the foundation's built, we depend on people like you. So without, as Mike said, your word of mouth, your influence, your reach, we really kind of hit a stall with some of these patients. So until the entire community can understand who we are, we're going to kind of run into those brick walls. So that's why we're here, and we certainly hope that this problem hits home enough for all of you to support that and for us to earn that support. I can promise you very sadly that every district that's listed here has had a kid in our ER with a gun injury in the last 12 months. And it's not a problem that affects one group. It really does cross every social boundary, economic boundary, racial boundary, neighborhood boundary. It is the entirety of Shreveport that we see these patients coming from, in the region as well. And I have a 5-month-old daughter at home, and I wish I could tell you that I haven't treated a patient younger than her in 2022, but I can't. So we want to reverse this problem as best we can. We want to find those areas where we can make a difference, and we depend on you guys to do that. So appreciate your time.
Just want to say thank you all, you both, for rounding up and spearheading into this program. Protect is something that, like you said, it is affecting each district that each one of us. So, and everybody in this room. And I just want to make sure that I get some information, more information from you, get some pamphlets or something. I can spread it out or get it to everyone up here. And there we go. I get it to Tanya right there, and she'll get that to us. And we'll do what we can. I think everybody be engaged to do our part to try to help and do what we can.
Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Councilman Nicholson.
Doctors, thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for your work on this critically important issue. The single most painful thing that happened during my 4 years on the council was the murder of a middle school child who lived or was visiting neighbors of mine 3 doors down on Fairfield Avenue. There are so many problems that don't have solutions and that we all just have to live with. Gun violence is not one of those problems. You know, local and state legislators can make decisions that significantly reduce the incidence of the injuries and deaths that you have devoted your lives to curing. So I thank you for being here today, and my thanks to all your staff, the other physicians and healthcare professionals who treat members of our community who are impacted by gun violence. I also encourage you to carry your message to Baton Rouge. Like many states, Louisiana has a state law that severely restricts the ability of local legislative bodies like the City Council to pass reasonable regulation of gun laws. For example, during this term when I attempted to make unlawful leaving an unsecured weapon in a car, that legislation was defeated under heavy pressure by the gun lobby. So the more often we can have conversations like the one that you're having with us right now, and the more stakeholders of good faith we can engage, the more likely it is that we can move this problem in the direction of a solution. Thank you both.
Councilwoman Fuller.
Thank you, Chair. Doctors, I am a huge proponent of violence interruption, looking at this from a public health standpoint, and I hope that at some point we'll be able to introduce artificial intelligence from the city side, looking at data mining and able to geolocate the areas that are the most problematic, and be able to work with you all and public health practitioners in order to really narrow in on this, as well as into implementing street teams that are able to reach out and stay with these families and work with case managers to really bring this to an end. And I'm just so glad to see you here today and hear that this is something that Auctioneer is taking on. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. And if you're having any meetings, gatherings, churches, whatever, please reach out to us, because if we want to, I love to talk about protect.
Connect to Mothers with a Mission. That's the
Yes.
first place. Have you met with them already?
I've not met with them, but I just last week got some contact information
Awesome.
on them. Yes.
I'm glad you mentioned those zip code things too. I mean, we have a list of things we want to dive into as this program grows, and it is something that can really evolve as we're able to grow with our staff and grow with our influence and our size. And there are really innumerable areas where we can stretch our influence and kind of keep going as this thing grows in terms of other interpersonal violence and things like that.
I see Laura Alderman here, who's with Childhood Resilience. I've gone through Policy Institutes for Leadership as far as changing policies that deal with childhood trauma. But have you all worked at all with the Community Foundation?
Not that I'm aware of.
Someone there is trying to bring in a public health person that's recommended by CDC to do exactly what you're talking about on a grander scale for children and adults. So reach out there too.
Yes, absolutely.
Community Foundation. Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. We'll be in touch.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any other council member? All right. CAO, we have anything from the
Yes, sir. This is the time of year that our citizens begin to prepare to pay their property taxes. And I know that many of you have probably received calls, and I know the we've fielded some calls in the city concerning the tax notices. And I just wanted to let everyone know that the property tax notices were mailed out this week. The last ones went out on Friday. Homeowners should receive them this week. And notices can also be found on the website www.shreveportla.gov, and payments can also be made on the City of Shreveport's website. So all the tax notices have been sent out.
Okay.
That's all I have.
In relation to that, Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind, is there any talk of waiving any penalties since we're getting them out so late?
I have not discussed that with the Revenue Department, but hopefully there won't be any penalties. I'll talk to them.
So this is where you give us.
Okay, if we need to do any kind of legislation to maybe push the penalty back to January, to the end of January, I wouldn't be opposed to doing that since we're getting them out so late.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Any other communication from administration?
No, sir, not at this time.
Does any member have any questions relative to property standards? I see Mr. Green. Seeing none, Ms. Titus? No. Saved by the bell, Mr. Green. Did everyone receive the Revolut Connection Plan and report? I think so. Public hearing today, we're required to hold a public hearing on ordinance number 193 of 22, annexation tag number 22-01. That's an ordinance to annex property into Section 7, Caddo Parish, Louisiana, into the city limits of the city of Shreveport, and to otherwise provide with respect thereto. The public hearing is now being called to order. Does the administration have a presentation?
We have Malcolm Statliner coming up.
Good afternoon, members of the City Council. I have a plat showing the annexation. And I don't know if it's going to come up. I talked to IT and they said it would. So anyway, this annexation is regarding tag number 2201 and concerns a 69.98 acre tract of land in Section 7, Township 16 North, Range 13 West, Caddo Parish, Louisiana, and it's known as Lucian Field Estates Phase 3. And it's contiguous to the city limits of Shreveport, and it lies on the east side of Lucian Field Estates Phase 2, which is east of Wallace Lake Road. The proposed annexation is adjacent to the existing city limits. The developer plans to subdivide this area into 264 residential lots with approximately 9,500 linear feet of public streets. The estimated value of the residential properties will be $300,000 per unit. On October the 5th, 2022, the Metropolitan Planning Commission voted 4-1 to recommend approval of the annexation. All the east side of the proposed annexation is contiguous to the existing city limits. The city received a petition from the property owner, Forbing Management LLC, requesting that this annexation be done. Questions? Thank you.
So I asked if anyone was here who would like to speak in favor or in opposition of this, and I didn't know if Clara Hardy wanted to speak now or after, but no, come, please come up.
Now would be all right.
Okay,
It doesn't matter.
okay, just making sure.
You can go first if you want.
It doesn't matter. You're already up.
My name is Justin Sevier. I'm 1922 Chestnut Park Lane, Shreveport, Louisiana 71106. I am here representing the purchaser of the property, Weavy Land Development, and we plan to purchase the property and bring it into commerce. And we will do the same thing we did in the first 2 phases of the development. It was a very successful development for DSLD, who built the homes, and so they approached us about securing more property for them, and so that's what we are trying to do. We're excited about this development, and one of the things, certainly I'm here to answer questions for you guys, but one of the things that I wanted to bring up today was typically in our city, home building is, it obviously is, keeps jobs and keeps people employed, but it's not often looked at as a job creator. And so the National Association of Home Builders back in, I don't know if I can get this up possibly from the projector screen, but back in 2015, they did an economic impact study. And so just for a minute or so, I wanted to touch on a few of these things, if I could.
Can anyone turn on the projector for Mr. Sevier?
Do I just need to hit?
No, it's already on.
Okay. But I'll just briefly tell you about, here we go, maybe it's coming up now, but there you go. So this was done by the National Association of Home Builders out of Washington, D.C., and they did an economic impact study to basically give the economic data for a typical 100 houses built within a year in an average size home in an average size city. And I feel like Shreveport qualifies for that, as well as these homes qualify as average size homes. So I wanted to just show you some brief economic data because, again, I feel like sometimes in our line of work, because we also have several other developments and build homes as well, but in our line of work, sometimes it's overlooked things that, that are created through these homes. So. It's a little bit grainy. I don't know if you can see it, but towards the bottom there, it's single-family homes, and it shows. I don't know if I can adjust this or not, but for inflationary data shows that local income produced from here through in the year 2022 is $36.7 million. And then in taxes and other revenue for local governments, it's about $4.6 million. And again, this is per 100 homes. This development will have over 2.5 times that amount of impact. And then even more specifically, impacts on building annually as you continue. It's about $5.24 million worth of local tax impact for these homeowners that live in these homes, and then $1.28 million in revenue for local governments. And the creation of jobs, it's about 395 jobs annually. So you add that up, and that's a fairly substantial amount of work that stays in the city of Shreveport, which is what we're after. We're after, and we're here to help, and we're excited about this opportunity. And then lastly, it's roughly, based on our analysis, about $270,000 a year in water and sewer fees for the Water and Sewer Department based on a typical monthly statement. So I just wanted to point that out, and I appreciate y'all's time today. Hope I didn't take up too much time, but I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
That's it. Thank you. Ms. Clara Harvey?
I might have to stand on a stool, but I think you can hear me without that. My name is Clara Harvey, and I own the property adjacent to the proposed annexation property, Phase 3. Okay. Well, Phase 2, I don't have any objections to the homes being built or annexed into the city, but the way it's drawn up now, the detention ponds that will carry all of that water from half of this acreage, it's divided in half, will come on my property, won't go in a ditch, won't stay in the city, it will come on my property. And I have standing pine trees, and it's already low in that area. So, you know, this phase has to be built. I should have been at the Metropolitan Planning Commission, but it didn't show the detention pond being on the corner, and I didn't realize that we would be receiving the water, the runoff. Now, Phase 2, and he just said Phase 1 and 2, that Phase 3 will be technically the same phase. Phase 2, the detention pond is not working. It floods across the street anytime it rains heavy. We're not talking about an occasional flood. And it goes over the driveway on the property that I own. It's my brother, and I've been there on the property. My father owned the airport there, and I've been on the property or worked on it for 50 years. So I'm familiar with the drainage and how wet it is, and the gas pipeline goes, or not the pipeline, the gas well road goes right next to my property. And it has culverts that already drain, and the trash and all the water that's excess over there comes on my property. It's just too low to take any extra water. And I've been calling for a year and a half to see if I could find out why the detention pond is not working. I started out talking to a Buddy King. He no longer works here. I don't know whether any of you know him. No, I guess. And then I didn't realize the circumstances until I called again last week about the excess water. And they said, well, it's going to come on your property. And that's what I was told. So I don't know if anyone has any questions or suggestions.
Mr. Chair.
The detention pond's not working in Phase 2 for sure.
Councilman Nicholson.
Does anyone want to?
Ma'am, I welcome correction from any member of the council, but I believe what's on our agenda today is annexation of the property and not approval of a site plan or anything to do with the location of detention ponds or retention ponds. Look, the only other suggestion I'd offer you, ma'am, is that if a development or work is done on adjacent property that increases the drainage onto your property, that's something you could talk to a lawyer about. You may not be able to find relief from the council, but that's an option.
So I have to wait until it takes place and it's dysfunctional, and then I have to contact a lawyer. Like I said, it didn't show this, or I would have been at the other meeting. I've already been approved for that. So who should I call when something
This is part of the problem of detaching the parish and the cities and PCs, is they're not communicating all those things to people if they're not, because there's no unity between those two policy governances.
I'll say this, Ms. Harvey, where is your property at? Is it across Wallace Lake Road or is it to the south?
Oh, no, the water from Phase 2 does go across Wallace Lake Road and flood some apartments over there every time it rains heavy.
But you're to
No.
the south?
I'm south of it, and like I said, there's a gas well road that goes between Phase 2 and my property.
Well, I'll say this.
And I just can't take any more water, and that's where it's got to go. It can't go in a ditch.
We had a meeting with the developer and Public Works, and the problem is, like Councilwoman Fuller said, you've got the parish and the city involved, and 2 engineers and a developer. We had a meeting, and the parish and the city are working together to see where that water is going to go. There's some ponds that it's going to drain to downstream, from what I understand, which will help it not pooling up on your property. But like Councilman Nicholson said today, we're just voting on the annexation, and then there will be a site plan approval that will have to go through this process.
Okay,
So-
because there's no other way, there's no place for the water to go.
I've got your number, and
And
it's-
I'm in the parish.
Yes, ma'am.
So the
I've got-
parish said they don't have anything to do with it.
Well, they do. They've been involved in the meetings. The parish has been in every meeting that I've been in about this. So I think we're all working together with the parish engineer and the city engineer to try to, once this is developed. So I've got your phone number. I'd like to give you a call maybe the next week or so and discuss it with you.
Okay, because it's a lot harder to try to correct something once it's done.
I agree.
Ma'am, I personally feel like we shouldn't vote on the annexation until we have some idea what the environmental impact actually is, instead of waiting for a site plan. It's like we're giving you permission to do a thing without actually having all the answers up front. I don't know that makes sense to me. You know what I mean?
I guess.
I don't know why we would annex it in, not know the full extent of what the site plan is going to look like when you're already having issues that we haven't, that they haven't been able to deal with while you're already outside, while it's outside of the city, I guess.
If it runs your 30 acres, in the meantime, I shouldn't have to get an attorney. But
It's already
if
ruining
it's
your-
already- if
Right,
it
it's
has
already
It's
nothing
already
to do with
occurring.
this, that's-
Correct, and that's the whole purpose of having these different land use authorities is to protect you, right? Like the whole purpose of having an MPC look at these things before they even get to us is supposed to be to protect you from exactly what's already happening. So it seems to me
Called for
that-
a year and a half to the inspectors that are supposed to be the little marshals for
Well,
the detention ponds, and no response at all.
so there's no accountability, basically, is what you're
No
saying.
one's looking into it.
So why would we further impact you when we haven't already taken care of this level of accountability, is what I'm saying.
Phase 2 has not been handled. Just pass the buck on down and down. But thank you for your time.
I know that y'all think that we're just looking at the annexation now and not the impact of that site plan, but I think you need to have more of an environmental impact before you do this.
But there is. That's the issue here is that the city and the parish and the developer have been working on this, and there's been several meetings now.
But that's not in front of us yet.
But that's something that I think that the city engineer needs to talk to us about before we say that there hadn't been any discussion on it, because there has. And now I don't know, I'm not an engineer.
Well, then
So-
we shouldn't be voting on it until we hear all of that.
Well, and he was gonna come up, I think, and he talked to us yesterday a little bit. Let's see what he's got. I mean,
Don't go
we need to
anywhere.
finish the public hearing first, and then Patrick can come up. Is that right, Chairman?
Yes.
Okay.
Because there's all kinds of figures on what Mr. Wicker sent me and wanted to, talk to me about it. But who checks these figures? The
Well,
amount
that's-
of water that comes and goes and.
That's
how
our
many
job.
floods
That's the
and
city,
who-
that's
who-
the city's job to make sure that it's taken care of, and I'm
Someone
sorry that
should.
I'm sorry that you've had this experience. I'd like, if we could move on and finish the public hearing, and then let's let the city engineer address what she said, if that's okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Stick around, Miss Clara. There's someone else to speak.
John Settle, Fort Hillwood. I apologize, I didn't fill out a card. I've been cycling in that area for 26 years. I mean, I even used to leave Dixie Garden and work our way all the way to Flournoy Lucas to Wallace Lake. I just want to reiterate a concern that Councilman Butcher raised yesterday. That four-way stop is a real nightmare, and if you haven't been there, Flournoy Lucas is very narrow with practically no shoulder that crosses there. Wallace Lake has been recently repaved and has a little bit of a shoulder, but the four-way stop, I go through it twice a week, and it's scary. And at one time, I used to cycle from Tealwood all the way out that way, and I decided that I wasn't going to try to cycle through that intersection. So I know it's a tangential issue, but it's becoming almost as congested and dangerous as when we had Wallace Lake and Southern Loop. And I know it's tangential, but I think it's a factor that should be really looked at. And if y'all haven't been out there to try to get through that four-way, have fun and be careful. Thank you.
Mr. Furlong, anyone else want to speak for or against this? Was there anyone else that want to speak?
Justin Sevier again. Ms. Clara, thank you for coming up. As Councilman Butcher said, we've had this property under contract for about 6 months, and we've spent a lot of our own dollars already and a lot of time with our engineers and with MPC and the city and the parish. We want to be good neighbors. We develop Providence, we develop the Grove. We do things the right way. We're going to continue to do things the right way. And we even, off of a recommendation from the parish, we actually, for the required engineering on the retention ponds, we actually are going to spend more dollars to decrease the flow by 50% in a 100-year rain, which is, again, not the requirement, but again, we want to be great neighbors, and we will continue to do that going forward. I just wanted to go on the record saying that we've spent a lot of time on this and a lot of money already on the front end just to get to this point. So,
Mr. Chair.
Councilman Butcher.
Justin, one thing that was brought up in this meeting, and I don't know how once the development is done, 1 and 2 is done, the detention ponds revert back to the homeowners association. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes.
And from what I understand, some of the problems you're having with the detention ponds for 1 and 2 is the homeowners association is not keeping it up. Is that correct?
That is correct.
What do we do as a city to make them keep that up where she's not impacted? It's not the developers. I mean,
Right.
It's designed right, it's working right, but the homeowners association isn't keeping it up. And I don't know if there's any way to make them do that. I mean, and that might be a question for Patrick, but that is a lot of what the problem is with units 1 and 2, right?
That is correct. Yes, I've spent a lot of time. Our office is not far from there, and I've spent a lot of time during all the different rain events driving that. And the parish did some work down Wallace Lake Road, and that seemed to help some of the backflow that Ms. Clara referred to on Wallace Lake. But yes, I can't speak to the trash or the other things she was referring to. I agree that, that's why you collect HOA dues, very much like our other 2 developments. Those dues go to, clean things up and make them perform the way they were designed to. So,
Mr. Chair, is this a flood area?
no, ma'am, it is not a floodplain.
Has she seen any flooding, Ms. Clara? When she talks about the water and what is running off in her yard, then is that a result of the retention pond? Is she a part of a homeowners association?
So for the Phase 2 retention pond drains onto Wallace Lake Road. And so the way a retention pond works is all the water collects there, and then it discharges through a pipe, whatever the engineer sizes, to make sure that the discharge does not leave there at any higher rate than the natural ground, the natural drain. And so that's what a retention pond is designed to do. So you do not have a negative impact further down than you did before. And so after a rain, probably about maybe 18 months ago, something like that, Patrick called and the parish had a concern, and we were able to help the parish identify some issues with some culverts downstream. They're different. They're sized differently. They get neighbors on those properties don't maintain them, and so the water backs up. And so I know in that situation, it did. It put some additional water on Wallace Lake Road, which I believe is what she was referring to. But shortly thereafter, the parish spent quite a bit of time going through and cleaning up some culverts. I even maybe changed the size of a culvert on the west side of the road. And to my knowledge, since then, those same problems have not occurred. So,
it's not my district, so I didn't know if maybe Gary or Patrick can speak to if it's been any calls or concerns as far as any flooding or anything over in those areas that you all know of outside of that.
Councilman, I'll say this: it's not in a flood zone, but that area is prone to water retention, and I've discussed this with Gary on numerous occasions. If we don't keep our ditches cleaned out down there, and that's Norris Ferry Road, that's Wallace Lake Road, anything north of Wallace Lake, it's an issue. But we have to.
A tornado warning.
Yeah,
It's a tornado that is spotted in Greenwood at this time. So that's the warning for us that if we need to take shelter to do so.
Mr. Chair,
Mayor.
I know we're in the middle of the public hearing, but Chief Reese has some very valuable information to give us. I don't know how we're supposed to do it, but at this time,
It's fine.
if we can pause and let him give us that information.
As everyone is aware, everybody's phone is going off. According to Homeland Security, there is a warning in Greenwood and also South Caddo Parish right now. Nothing in the city of Shreveport. Asked about what time this meeting would be done. Told them around 5 o'clock. The thick of the storm will be here around 5 o'clock. This is a widespread storm all the way from Arkansas to Natchitoches. So I advise y'all to make your decisions based on the fact that severe thunderstorms will be here around 5 o'clock. The rain has already started. And again, those warnings and the warnings will last until 4:10, and then it goes into a watch for a while. Homeland Security has set up national a incident command center at 4910 North Market. Myself and Chief Smith are in constant contact with them right now, and we'll update you as needed throughout the meeting.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
Looks
Chair.
like it's.
Councilman Butch, I'm sorry, was you cut out?
No, now I'm a tornado magnet, so I got to watch this.
Chief, so do we need to get under here?
Gracie wants to go storm chasing.
Hey, look, unfortunately, I've been in 4 tornadoes, so I'm a magnet. So y'all, if it's coming, I better get underneath.
Okay.
Go over to Beard Towers.
But anyway, back to what I was saying. I think that there is a drainage problem, and that's one of the issues with all these annexations. I agree that there is really no plan downstream much, and that's something that this council is going to have to look at forward. I don't think 240 houses or 243 or whatever is going to have that big of an impact on us. It will on her, but I think a lot of it is the detention ponds aren't being maintained. So you have to keep the ditches clean. You have to keep the retaining ponds clean. You have to make sure that these things are built. And I just don't know if we're doing a real good job in that. So anyway, that's. Mr. Chairman.
Which entail would cause a problem when it's not, and which is causing a problem for her.
Yes.
Did you?
Reducing Dan for the south while we empty out the middle of the city is what
Right.
we're doing.
I got it around.
I'll talk real quick. I'm Ron Wicker, 10326 Ellaby Road. I'm a half partner in this development along with the first development. And I own 212 acres right south adjoining to her. I called her the other day and talked to her. And I also have a 20-acre pond right south of this too. And so I'm real familiar with the drainage out there. It is kind of flat out there. But the drainage in the first section, just along with the second section, is designed to come off 50% less than it's doing now. What I'm getting at, there's not any more water that's going to run off from Ms. Harding's property after this development than it is before. In fact, I told her, I hadn't done it yet, but I can take some of this water in my pond, a 20-acre pond, stays a little, it stays full this last 2 or 3 years, but usually it's low. I can divert some of this water in my pond. I have a problem with not enough water in my pond, which I'm right to the west of Miss Hardy. But I'll be glad to work with her anytime. I tell her I'm going to be a good neighbor. I'll work with her any way I can. In fact, I'd like to buy her property. I told her the other day whenever she gets ready to sell. As I'd asked 20 years ago to do, I'd love to buy her property just because it's next to me. But I'll work with her any way we can with drainage, especially not just the development of my property south on 212 acres right south of there. It's really, the drainage is the same as it was 20 years ago. When it comes to heavy rain, Wallace Lake does flood because there are some drainage culvert issues. Like I said, the parish needs to go west and redo their culverts, and the culverts going south across my office, or a lot of them are just, we put in, I don't know how long ago, they're real small. They're 12, 14, 15 inches, and they need to be 24 inches because the bigger the culvert, the faster the water will get off away from all this and it won't pond. So it needs to be some culvert work done anyway, but I just want to kind of update you on all that, and I'm working with her any way I can to help with the drainage because it affects me too. I have that land. Any questions?
So I think it kind of goes back to what Councilwoman Fuller said, and trying to go over there and assess and doing that environmental impact study to make sure that if this development is going to exist, how is it actually going to turn around and impact her for what she's already dealing with right now. I don't see that if it's already occurring, how is it going to get better if we don't do and what you suggest that the parish needs to do, which is a major concern for me, for her.
Right, and that's just carried off. Now, our engineers, one of them is here, our engineers have done the impact study on the detention ponds, and actually the runoff on the property we're trying to buy and develop is going to be 50% less going on her property. That's what I guess I'm trying to say. It's going to be less water running on her property than there is now. And I don't think there's any more property, because like I said, I own 200 acres right surrounding her. There's not any more water running off on her now than there was 20 years ago. Unless we have one of these big, huge floods like we have every so often, water is going to come, and it comes across our property, dumps in my ditch, and it goes out to Wallace Lake Road. So there's not any more water issue before this first development or after the second development.
Y'all could actually do something really innovative here and actually implement a green infrastructure plan that does more than put in detention ponds and culverts. It might increase your cost, and it might increase the property values, but you could put in pervious pavements and do all sorts of stuff that we haven't actually seen as innovations that would actually alleviate a lot of this problem. It might be a good pilot project for other communities that we try to develop inside this city without even annexing. It's just an idea.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Mr. Furlong? I do have a map that kind of a roundabout way of getting it on there, but I threw it on the projector. There were a couple concerns from the lady in the parish, Miss Claire. One was the current detention pond not working. It is in poor condition. It's working, but it's not at its full capacity. It is silted in some. We have had staff sending letters and requesting the homeowners association to clean it out to how it was originally designed. They were working with us, and they cut the grass, and they did the real easy stuff, but when it was time to do the work that cost money, they went silent. So we have consulted with legal on next steps, because we've never had this problem before with detention ponds. Typically, folks take care of them.
So it's not the design of the pond, it's the maintenance of the pond.
Well, I'd like to say detention ponds, they can reduce the impact. They do not eliminate flooding. This pond was designed, the city has an ordinance which is a minimum standard. You meet that minimum standard, you meet our ordinance, but that doesn't mean that you're not going to prevent any flooding. And the design of the pond and the discharge of the pond is important also. That pond was designed beyond the city's minimum standards. So that's the status of phase 2. Really, most of the flooding issues the parish is handling, as it's in the parish. As far as the phase 3, I think there's some questions. You can't really see that, but this is existing development, and this is phase 3. There's going to be 1, 2, 3 ponds planned. I believe they're all greater than our minimum standard. And yeah, so this is the pond, and this is Miss Claire's property right there. The developer has committed to doing the right thing.
Can I interrupt you
Yes,
for
ma'am.
a second? If the residents in District A are under the sound of my voice in the Cooper Road area, then I'm going to ask you to take the precautions and to take cover, please, in lieu of the storm.
And I was just kind of rambling. If there's any specific questions, I'd like to address those. But yeah, right now we're at a conceptual phase. It's a tricky subject because water will go downhill, and we will review the plans when they come in.
So in your opinion as city engineer, this is something that's fixable, or the impact of this not the annexation, because we're talking about two different things, but the neighborhood is something that is fixable if everybody works together.
Phase 3?
In the site plan, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to review it. See if they met the minimum standards. The parish would like to see the impacts of the drainage. You know, we're in it's a tricky topic because you have one party that says, hey, I want to do this, and I'm doing it right, and you have another party saying, hey, I don't want them to do this, they're not doing it right, you know? So we do rely on their engineer to design it properly, and we review it, and we review their report, and give it a compliance review, and go from there. You know, there's state laws in place about drainage, and there's state laws that govern licensed engineers.
Okay. Answer my question.
That's mine. That's good. I just appreciate that Mr. Wicker and others are being a good neighbor with Ms. Clara, and I hope that something can be worked out as we continue to move on this. So, is there anyone else want to speak or need to speak in favor or in opposition? If not, then this public hearing is closed. Okay. All right. Madam Clerk, will there be any legislation to be added today?
No, there is none.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I'm kind of watching this storm, and it looks like it's going north of us a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, it's real close.
Yeah.
When I say north of us, I mean north of this building.
We got. Yeah. No. I've been in contact. Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
I just can't. I'm trying to get some direction on this, as we'll be breaking the law if we close the meeting too. So,
Mr. Chair, I just advise everybody that's inside of the building to remain inside instead of going out, getting in the middle of the storm. And also, the law requires us to have this meeting, so if we could move briefly, then
we'll go swift.
We'll be done.
All right.
Just in the event if the roof starts shaking, then I'm not gonna be in the meeting. Yeah, I could stay here, but I'm going. Dominique need his mama.
So I guess you just volunteered the other 4 to stay in.
I think you're probably about the best
Just putting that on the record.
But you are in the Cooper Road area, then I need you to take whatever precautions that you need to at this time.
It says right now 425, it'll be them okay.
And to shelter safely. So for those under the sound of my voice in District A in the Cooper Road area, I do need you to shelter safely, to get into a closet, wherever it is that you need to do at this particular point in time. I did call my grandmother and asked her to shelter safely at this time. And for all of those under the sound of my voice in District A in the Cooper Road area.
All right. Was there a motion to add those to this agenda? No, there was nothing to add.
There's
right?
nothing to
Okay,
add.
all right. Today we have public, but I don't have any public comments.
Mr. Chair?
I didn't get a, yes, I'm sorry.
Before you get into the regular agenda, I'd be in trouble if I didn't make this international announcement. Today is Tanya's birthday.
Happy birthday,
Happy
Tanya.
birthday.
Sagittarius.
She's trying to get out of
Our president to get out of here.
Her president is to move quickly.
Right,
Right.
right. I didn't have any public comments. Am I correct? I didn't have anything over here. Okay. I did want to recognize the two councilmen-elect, but they stepped out, but both of them were here. That was Councilman-elect Gary Brooks and Councilman-elect Jim Chalaferro. Just want to recognize them. We have the following executive appointments to be considered today.
Mr. Chair,
Was there a
Mr. Chair, the administration requested to postpone all confirmations.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilman Nicholson and seconded by Councilwoman Taylor to postpone those appointments. If there's no discussion, please vote to postpone. It passes with 5. There are no items on the consent agenda for introduction to be adopted. Madam Clerk, please proceed with regular legislation.
Okay. Resolution 141, authorizing a request to be made to the Louisiana Department of Natural Resources, Louisiana State Mineral and Energy Board to seek public bids for an oil, gas, and mineral lease involving the property located in the vicinity of District D and described herein, and to execute the lease for certain mineral interests owned by the city of Shreveport, and to authorize the mayor to execute any and all documents related to the intent of this resolution.
I move to postpone and request brief discussion.
Second.
Mr. Chairman, there's a typographical error in this legislation that I'll address with the city attorney. Can be corrected before our next meeting.
Okay. It's been moved by Councilman Nicholson and seconded by Councilwoman Taylor. Postpone. Councilman Jackson, okay. And that motion, Taylor, did you?
Sorry.
The motion passed with 5.
Okay, Resolution 142, authorizing the execution of a retainer agreement with Attorney Joey Greenwald relative to certain matters concerning notices of water and sewerage disconnection.
So moved.
Second. Been moved by Councilwoman Taylor, second by the chair. In discussion? Please vote. Motion passed with 5.
Okay, Resolution 143, authorizing the execution of a retainer agreement with Richard M. John, APLC.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Taylor, second by Councilman Nicholson on 143. If there's no discussion, please vote. Motion carries with 5.
Resolution 144, authorizing the execution of cooperative endeavor agreement with Allendale Lakeside Ledbetter Heights Partnership.
Move to postpone.
Second.
Been moved by Councilwoman Taylor to postpone. It's been seconded by Councilman Nicholson. If there's no discussion, please vote. Motion passes with 6.
Resolution 145, authorizing the mayor to accept a monetary donation of $85,276.80 from the Caddo Parish Commission to the City of Shreveport, Louisiana, to be utilized by the fire department for the City of Shreveport. And there is one amendment which corrects an error in the section of the Shreveport Code of Ordinances. The correct code provision is section 26-187 of the Shreveport Code of Ordinances.
Move to adopt the amendment.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Nicholson and seconded by Councilwoman Taylor. discussion, please vote. Sorry. That motion passed with 6.
Resolution one,
I'm sorry, we now need to adopt the resolution.
As amended.
Move to adopt as amended.
Second. Second. Please vote. As amended. Pass it with 6.
Resolution 148, approving the issuance of a demolition permit for the structure located at 1504 Peabody Street, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71103.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Fuller and second by Councilman Nicholson. There's no discussion, please vote. I'm sorry, Councilwoman Fuller.
We don't often want to see, we have this demolition designation of 180 days in the downtown development district. And we do that so that if there's a chance that we might end up be putting in a parking lot that we don't need, where we need density, we can hold off and try to get a new buyer or someone to come in and save a structure. This is a case where it's already been vetted. We know that the best case scenario is for this demolition to happen faster than 180 days. And that's why I want to approve it today. Thank you.
What structure is it on Peabody?
Is it, I'd rather have Liz speak to it if she doesn't mind.
That's
Ms.
okay.
Swain, do you mind just real quick? It's what's already collapsing,
Okay.
right? Yeah. There's a great slow-mo of Commissioner Chavez walking in front of it. You can see it on YouTube.
Okay.
Pass with 6.
Resolution 149, authorizing the mayor to execute an amendment to an option to ground lease between the City of Shreveport and Shreveport Millennium Housing 4 LLC.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by the chair, second by Councilwoman Taylor. There's no discussion. Please vote. Motion passed with 6.
Okay. Resolution 150, authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement between the City of Shreveport and Carr, Riggs, and Ingram LLC for the purpose of an external audit of the city for fiscal year January 1, 2022 through December 31, 2022.
So moved.
Second. Moved by Councilman Nicholson, second by chair. There's no discussion, sorry. Please vote. Motion passed with 6.
Resolution 151, authorizing the mayor to enter into a donation agreement with the Department of Environmental Quality of the State of Louisiana to reduce the number of waste tires currently existing in the collection center that exceed the regulatory limit.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Taylor, second by Councilman Nicholson. There's no discussion. Please vote.
Hit the wrong button, sorry.
You just had to move something today. Jim.
I did. Beat me on the last one.
And that passed with 6.
Resolution 152, requesting that the Shreveport City Council clerk transmit a request for an opinion from the Attorney General's Office for the State of Louisiana as it relates to Act 230 of 2022 and the City of Shreveport's obligation.
So moved.
It's been moved by Councilman Nicholson and second by Councilwoman Taylor. There's no discussion. Please vote. And motion passed with 6.
Resolution 153, dedicating the 1800 block of Russell Road in honor of Dr. John H. Dansby Sr.
So moved.
Second. Moved by Councilwoman Taylor, second by the chair. No discussion, please vote.
Just that low area that concerns.
That motion passes with 6, and I'm gonna ask if 154 can be postponed.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved by Councilwoman Taylor, second by Councilman Nicholson. Can we do that on the next, at the next meeting, please, on the 18th? Can we do that on the 18th? That'd be fine, okay.
22nd.
I mean, the 20, I'm sorry, 22nd. Think about a birthday I gotta take care of.
He's postponed to the 26th.
That's December 20th.
Motion passes 6. Madam Clerk, will you proceed with introduction of resolutions not to be adopted prior to January 10th?
Resolution 155, authorizing the mayor to execute a cooperative purchasing agreement between the city of Shreveport and the city of New Orleans.
So moved. For introduction.
For introduction, so moved by Councilwoman Taylor, second by Chair. Madam Clerk, would you proceed with introduction of ordinances not to be adopted prior to January 10/23?
Ordinance 216, amending the 2022 capital improvements budget. Ordinance 217, amending the 2022 Convention Center Hotel Enterprise Fund budget. Ordinance 218, amending the 2022 general fund budget. And ordinance 219 to amend Chapter 26, Article 7, Section 26-274 of the City of Shreveport, Louisiana Code of Ordinances relative to execution of contracts associated with purchases.
Move for introduction.
Second.
Madam Clerk, please proceed with ordinances on second reading and final passage.
Ordinance 109 to amend various articles and sections in the City of Shreveport, Louisiana Unified Development Code for the purpose of updating and revising the regulations for political signs.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Nicholson and second by Councilwoman Taylor. Second by Councilwoman Taylor.
Sorry.
If there's no discussion, please vote. Motion passed with 6.
Ordinance 135A to repeal Ordinance 135 of 2022 and to re-adopt an ordinance changing the name of Red Fox Circle and the Moore Girls Circle subdivision in Section 25, Township 17 North, Range 15 West to God's Country. And this has previously been postponed until February 14th. Ordinance 192, closing and abandoning a portion of Boysaw Street and an alley dedication in the Boysaw Annex subdivision in Section 35, Township 18 North, Range 14 West.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Taylor, second by Councilman Nicholson. Moved. Second. That motion passed with 6.
Ordinance 193, annexation tag number 22-1, an ordinance to annex property in Section 7, Township 16 North, Range 13 West, Caddo Parish, Louisiana, into the city limits of the City of Shreveport.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilman Butcher and second by Councilman Nicholson.
Jackson.
No, Councilman Jackson, I'm sorry.
So they still gonna
Y'all
do
look
it?
so much alike today.
What's that?
They still gonna do it? I thought they were gonna wait.
Any discussion?
I think.
The wait on y'all was, what you call it?
Oh, move, huh? Thanks. I mean, I'm satisfied with Patrick saying that all of this will be taken care of in the site. But who approves the site plan? Is it, do you do it, Mr. Clark? Is there a hearing for this, or is it just you do it?
It's administrative approval. It's administrative approval, right?
It's a subdivision. It's 264. But it's just a subdivision, not a site plan. Engineering will be involved in approving the drainage plan and so forth.
So before they can do any construction on this,
Before they can do any construction, the city engineer will have to sign.
Patrick has to sign off on it, and he'll work with the parish engineer and their engineer.
Yes.
So, no construction is gonna take place yet. I think that the annexation, the property owner, because I had the conversation with them, hey, look, you don't have a site plan yet, you still want this to be annexed into the city, and they were for it. So, encourage you to vote for it because I think 240-something homes could have a real economic impact on us. And it's continuous to the existing neighborhood.
Absolutely, I agree with Councilman Butcher. I think this is be an asset to the neighborhood and to the city, so I'm definitely in for it.
Mr. Chairman.
Councilman Nicholson.
The only further comment I'll offer is that while I'm have been receptive to and sympathetic to the arguments Councilwoman Fuller has advanced this term about limiting our South Fork growth, this is an expansion of an existing development, and in my opinion, this body should not be changing the rules mid-process for a developer that's already invested a significant amount of money. If the council next term wants to articulate that it's not going to approve additional annexations, it can do that, but this should come in. Thank you.
Any other discussion? I just ask that we just if they just would stay in contact with the Ms. Clara.
I still have the concern for Ms. Clara
That's it.
and what has already taken place. So it's, not to say that the development is not going to happen, but I do think that when you have those existing issues, that what it is that she's facing, those things need to be in consideration, because she shouldn't have to go back and forth with that when you look at a development of what's already that's happening. So you could vote yes, it's a no for me. Plus, I got some issues in my district already. So
I do have an excellent relationship with the SLD, and one of the main representation of the SLD actually lives in Lucianville, so we can definitely work together to make sure Ms. Clara's needs are addressed.
There's no other discussion, please vote. Motion passes 4.
Ordinance 194 to amend Section 66-141 of Chapter 66 Personnel, Article 3 Health Benefits for the City of Shreveport Code of Ordinances relative to the health care costs for full-time active employees and retirees.
So moved.
second.
Been moved by Councilman Nicholson, second by Councilwoman Taylor. 194. There's no discussion. Please vote. Motion passed with 6.
Ordinance 195 to amend various articles and sections in the City of Shreveport, Louisiana Unified Development Code for the purpose of creating a residential renter property registration program.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Taylor, second by Councilman Nicholson.
To adopt today?
Yes.
We don't have to postpone for anything?
We do not. I've had a conversation with the city attorney about that.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Okay. No other discussion, please vote.
Oh, I'm going to say
I'm sorry.
congratulations to you two for working this out.
Thank
And
you.
congratulations to Alan Clark for taking in all of the different feedback that you got and getting this to something that we could work with.
Appreciate
you.
that.
Thank you, Councilwoman Fuller. I
Yes,
worked
thank
real
you.
hard on this, and
I know you did. You worked real hard,
Appreciate
Mr. Bowman, Councilman.
Gary, you just, you don't know how much I thank you for this. I mean,
So, Mr. Chairman, real quick, for a storm update, it looks like it's moved. It's like at North Market and
it's just like this.
around the traffic circle. It's moving, so it's north of us and moving towards Benton.
Okay.
So that's one. There's others, but that's one.
195 passed with 6.
Ordinance 197, amending ordinance number 146 of 2022, which amended the City of Shreveport, Louisiana 2022 Capital Projects Fund budget, and there is one amendment. This amendment is to correct the street lighting project number to C22011.
So moved on the amendment.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilman Butcher, second by Councilman Nicholson. What the amendment does?
Changes the number.
Yeah, the number on the street project.
Okay. If there's no other discussion, please vote.
It went wonky on me. Hold on. Okay.
So is it finished going through,
Motion passed with
MLK
6.
Yeah, I
and
think so.
North Market towards Benton.
Yeah. Look around the traffic circle right now.
Okay. Is that fine?
They need a motion.
And they on the amendment, Councilman Butcher.
So moved on the ordinance as amended.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Butcher, second by Councilman Nicholson. Moved as amended. And that motion passed with 6.
Ordinance 198, amending the 2022 capital projects fund budget.
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Councilman Nicholson, second by Councilman Butcher. No discussion? Please vote. Motion passed with 6.
Ordinance 199, amending the 2022 capital projects fund budget.
So,
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Taylor, second by Councilman Nicholson. Is there any discussion?
he's just sitting there looking at it. Like it's gonna move itself.
Motion passed with 6.
Ordinance 200, amending the 2022 general fund budget.
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Nicholson,
Second.
second by Councilman Jackson. If there's no discussion, please vote. Motion passed with 6.
Ordinance 201, amending the 2022 general fund budget.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Jackson, second by Councilman Butcher. If there's no discussion, please vote. Motion passed with 6.
Ordinance 202, amending the City of Shreveport, Louisiana 2022 solid waste enterprise fund budget.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Jackson, second by Councilman Nicholson. If there's any discussion, please vote. Motion passed with 6.
Ordinance 203, amending the 2022 budget funding contractual services provided to Sportran by Metro Management Associates Incorporated.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved by Councilwoman Taylor, second by Councilman Jackson. If there's no discussion, please vote. Motion passed with 6.
Ordinance 204, amending the 2022 budget for the MPC Special Revenue Fund budget.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved by Councilwoman Taylor, second by Councilman Nicholson. If there's no discussion, please vote. Motion passed with 6.
Ordinance 205, amending the 2022 Community Development Special Revenue Fund budget.
So moved. Second. Moved by Councilwoman Taylor, second by the chair. There's no discussion, please vote. Motion passed with 6.
Ordinance 206, amending the 2022 Airport Enterprise Fund budget.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved by Councilwoman Taylor, second by Councilman Butcher. If there's no discussion, please vote. Second by Councilman Butcher.
Second.
Please
It's
vote.
hard trying to I'm trying to keep my constituents updated.
Motion passes with 6.
Ordinance 207, amending the 2022 Community Development Special Revenue Fund budget, and there is one amendment.
So moved from the amendment.
Second. Moved by Councilwoman Taylor, second by the chair.
There's one amendment to 207.
As amended, on the
Yeah.
amendment.
Moving to adopt.
And the amendment is to project revenues in accordance with the LGBA.
Motion passed with 6.
So moved on the ordinance as amended.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Taylor, second by Councilman Jackson as amended.
Sorry, I thought we'd gone to the vote screen. My bad.
It's okay.
Oops.
We all in a rush.
Motion passes with 6.
Ordinance 208, amending the 2022 general fund budget.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Taylor, second by Councilman Jackson. There's no discussion, please vote. Motion passed with 6.
Ordinance 209, amending the 2022 grant special revenue fund budget.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Taylor, second by Councilman Nicholson. If there's no discussion, please vote. Motion passed with 6.
Ordinance 210, amending the 2022 riverfront development fund budget.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Taylor, second by Councilwoman Fuller. There's no discussion, please vote. Motion passed with 6.
Ordinance 211, amending the 2022 street special revenue fund budget.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Taylor, second by Councilman Nicholson. There's no discussion.
I'm just waiting.
Second. Please vote. Motion passed with 6.
Ordinance 212, amending the 2022 water and sewerage enterprise fund budget.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved by Councilwoman Taylor, second by Councilman Nicholson. If there's no discussion, please vote. And passes with 6.
Ordinance 213, to amend Article 7, Division 4, Section 90-332 of the City of Shreveport Code of Ordinances relative to overtime parking.
Move to postpone and request brief discussion.
Second.
Move to postpone by Councilman Nicholson. That's been seconded by Councilwoman Fuller. Discussion by Councilman Nicholson.
Mr. Chairman, after offering this legislation, I spoke to Liz Swain, who has proposed that the council next term take a more holistic look at parking downtown, and I'm postponing or requesting that we do so for that reason. Thank you.
Did Ms. Swain feel like I wasn't competent enough to vote on that? Okay, all right.
Well, me neither.
No. She's just agreeing with me that, instead of being reactive, we should take a more comprehensive approach to the policy. Does that sound familiar, Councilman Nicholson?
Confident predictability, though, Councilwoman.
We'll call y'all back down here.
Huh?
We'll call y'all back down here.
Or we're taking this show on the road. Be the Holiday Inn next Tuesday for breakfast.
Motion to postpone passes with 6.
Ordinance 215, amending the 2022 general fund budget.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Councilman Jackson, second by Councilwoman Taylor. On 215. There's no discussion, please vote. Motion passes with 6.
Ordinance 196, zoning case number 22-175-C, an ordinance to amend the official zoning map of the City of Shreveport Unified Development Code by rezoning property located north side of Greenwood Road, approximately 600 feet west of Curtis Lane, Shreveport, Caddo Parish, Louisiana, I-1 Light Industrial Zoning District to C3 General Commercial Zoning District.
So moved.
Second. So moved by Councilwoman Taylor, second by Councilman Nicholson. Second by Councilman Nicholson. If there's no discussion, please vote. Motion passed with 6.
Ordinance 214, zoning case number 22-197-C, an ordinance to amend the official zoning map of the City of Shreveport Unified Development Code by rezoning property located on the south side of Stoner Avenue, approximately 316 feet west of Highland Avenue, Shreveport, Caddo Parish, Louisiana, from R3 Multifamily Residential Zoning District to C2 Corridor Commercial Zoning District.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved by Councilwoman Fuller, second by Councilwoman Taylor. There's no discussion.
I should have postponed it just to give Mr. Clark a headache.
Motion passes with 6. Now we are at the 2023 budget ordinances to be adopted no later than December 15th.
Okay, ordinance 158, adopting the 2023 Capital Projects Fund budget. There are 2 amendments. The first amendment is to transfer funds from Streets Special Revenue Fund to Capital Projects for a traffic control signal at Flournoy Lucas and Wallace Lake Road.
So moved on Amendment 1.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Butcher, second by Councilman Nicholson.
Discussion.
How the heck do I get out of this?
I think we should wait on this. I think it's a lot of money to be spent at the end of the year. Originally, when I am supportive, it is needed. I wanted to talk with the developers about covering half the cost. They informed us of some things that they may have to do in the site plan that's going to prevent them from covering half the cost. So I do think we need to postpone this, but I am in favor of it, just not right now.
So you're offering them,
Oh, you offering a substitute motion?
Yeah, I would like to have a substitute motion postpone.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I think the effect of our having a vote on the merits of the amendment and it being voted down would be to defer the decision, but we have to adopt the budget today, so I don't know that postponing the amendment is procedurally the correct thing to do.
And the only reason I want it to stay up there is because there's definitely, I talked to a constituent today that said that they were backed up all the way to Ellerby Road on Flournoy Lucas because of traffic at that intersection. And it's already starting to have an impact regardless of the additional homes. And we didn't pass it last year. We've had a traffic study that's been, it's said that we've needed it since almost 2 years now. So during Councilman Fleury's tenure. So I think it's definitely something that's needed. I agree. I don't like spending the money, and I'd like for the developer to take some of it, but they're going to end up probably having to put in turn lanes and all this other stuff. So I think this red light is not just because of the annexation. I think it's just needed. So I would appreciate the vote yay on it.
Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, also I'd like to say that even if you vote this yay, that this money is not going to come out of the 2022 budget. The money that's going to come out of is 2023. So since it's coming out of that 2023, then it would stand to reason that we would just wait until 2023 to do it, because it's not coming out of this budget.
Well, this is an amendment to budget the monies for
existing budget,
2023. Right. But look at the amendment may fail, Councilman Jackson. And my only procedural suggestion is that we can't postpone consideration of amendment beyond the date on which the main motion has to be adopted.
Yeah, I understand. I still stand firm that I do think we need to wait.
Ma'am?
You can go back and allocate if it
At some
fails.
point,
Yes, if this fails at any time, the council
Yeah.
can amend the budget to
Right.
provide for these funds.
any other discussion? Please vote. Motion failed with 3.
And there is a second amendment that this amendment corrects the 2023 capital fund budget based on updated funding.
Dated funding on what?
It's to maintain the appropriation for Resilient Park at $4,000,000 to maintain the appropriation for downtown sidewalks and improvements at $214,000, and to establish the appropriations for street lighting at $5 million. It's on here.
And this for downtown?
Mr. Chair? Oh, you asking about the 5 million?
Yes.
No, that's the street lighting that's in the bond allocation.
Okay.
The 5 million that's gonna be used for street lighting in some of our neighborhoods and along the interstates, in Shreveport.
Okay. But I thought I heard her say something else for downtown.
It was the
That's-
sidewalks
The
downtown.
sidewalks for downtown.
Yes.
Okay. So move.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Taylor, second by Councilman Nicholson. If there's no other discussion, please vote. You did say Resilient Park too, right?
Mhm.
Motion passed with 6.
And then as amended.
Councilwoman Taylor, as amended.
So moved.
Moved by Councilman Jackson, second by Councilman, I said that wrong. Moved by Councilwoman Taylor, second by Councilman Jackson. If there's no discussion, please vote. Motion passed with 6.
Okay, Ordinance 159, adopting the 2023 Riverfront Development Fund budget. This one also has 2 amendments. The first amendment is the transfer to other funds increase from $2,356,300 from $2,251,300 to reflect the adjustment needed to make a correction to the budget.
So move.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilwoman Taylor, second by Councilman Jackson.
Mr. Chairman.
Discussion by Councilman Jackson, Councilman Nicholson.
I hope I'm so fortunate as to be confused for Councilman Jackson more frequently. A little better looking than Councilman.
Y'all favor so much, I keep telling you that.
Where is the $105,000 that this change is going?
I'm trying to find that particular legislation now.
Community development.
I believe it's going to, you said community development?
Yes.
Community development.
Okay, thank you.
No other discussion, please vote.
Pull it up.
Motion passed with 6.
Okay, and the second amendment decreases the operating reserves by $75,000 and increases the other charges by $75,000.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Fuller, second by Councilwoman Taylor. There's no discussion, please vote. Wait for a second. Wait there. Councilman Jackson. Motion passed with 6.
And as amended.
So moved. As amended.
Moved by
Second.
Councilman Jackson, second by Councilwoman Taylor. As amended. No discussion, please vote. Councilman.
Aye.
Motion passed with 6.
Okay, Ordinance 160, adopting the 2023 general fund budget, and this ordinance has 6 amendments. The first amendment, personal services memberships corrected to account for YMC discounts for employees. The community development transfer increased to $1,427,550 from $1,053,750 to reflect the adjustment needed to make the correction to the budget.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Jackson, second by Councilwoman Taylor. No discussion, please vote. Butcher. Motion passed with 6.
The Second Amendment in fire personal services decreased to $63,348,680 from $63,348,700. For public works, personal services increased to $12,347,000 from $11,929,100. Materials and supplies decreased to $3,076,000 from $3,285,000 to $300. Contractual services decreased to $8,021,000 from $8,163,400. Improvements and equipments decreased to $1,514,200 from $1,580,400.
Second.
Been moved by Councilman Jackson, second by Councilwoman Taylor. Please vote. Councilman Jackson. Motion passed with 6.
Okay. Amendment 3, Public Works contractual services increased to $8,071,000 from $8,021,000.
So moved.
Moved by Councilwoman Taylor.
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Fuller. There's no discussion. Please vote. Motion passed with 6.
Amendment 4, to transfer funds from general government operating reserves to IT to purchase software that would manage public records requests.
I'm going to withdraw this amendment. I'd like to make a comment or discussion. The impetus for my offering this amendment is that the city's process for managing public records requests is far less efficient than it should be, in my opinion. And IT may not be the right place for that process to be housed or this expenditure to be made, but I do encourage the council next term to have the city attorney and the administration look at this and make sure that we are not spending more of the public's money answering public records requests than we should. Thank you.
So that's the withdrawal.
Yes.
Okay. Moved by
Well,
Councilman Nicholson.
it's not offered, so I don't know.
So we don't have to,
What do we?
I thought we had since the.
It's just withdrawn.
Okay.
We can move on. Amendment number 5, to transfer funds from general government operating reserves to MPC to fund the master plan update.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Fuller, second by Councilwoman Taylor. There's no discussion, please vote. Motion passes with 6.
Okay, and Amendment 6, this amendment adjusts the 2023 prior year fund balance and operating reserve totals to account for the actual increase in sales taxes received in 2022.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Nicholson, second by Councilwoman Taylor. There's no discussion. Please vote. Passes with 6.
And then as amended.
So moved as amended.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Taylor, second by Councilwoman Fuller. As amended. No discussion, please vote. Motion passed with 6.
Ordinance 161, adopting the 2023 retained risk fund budget, and there are no amendments on this one.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Taylor, second by Councilwoman Fuller. No discussion, please vote. Pass with 6.
Ordinance 162, adopting the 2023 Metropolitan Planning Commission fund budget, and there is one amendment. That amendment is to transfer funds from the general fund operating reserves to MPC to fund the master plan update. It's the same.
So move on the amendment.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Fuller, second by Councilman Butcher. There's no discussion. Please vote. Motion passed with 6.
And then as amended.
So moved as amended.
Second.
Councilwoman Taylor, second by Councilwoman Fuller. Please vote. Missing Taylor, Butcher. Motion passed with 6.
Okay. Ordinance 163, adopting the 2023 Community Development Special Revenue Fund budget, and there are no amendments.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Taylor, second by Councilwoman Fuller. There's no discussion, please vote. Motion passed with 6.
Okay. Ordinance 164, adopting the 2023 Grants Special Revenue Fund budget, also has no amendments.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved by Councilwoman Taylor, second by Councilwoman Fuller. There's no discussion, please vote. Passed with 6.
Ordinance 165, adopting the 2023 Shreveport Redevelopment Agency Special Revenue Fund budget. There are no amendments.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Taylor, second by Councilwoman Fuller. There's no discussion. Please vote. Passed with 6.
Ordinance 166, adopting the 2023 Downtown Entertainment Economic Development Special Revenue Fund budget, and there are no amendments offered.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Taylor, second by Councilwoman Fuller. There's no discussion, please vote.
We're just trying to get this done before more alarms start sounding off.
5:15 is what I'm pushing for. Passed with 6.
Okay. Ordinance 167, adopting the 2023 Golf Enterprise Fund budget, and there are no amendments.
So moved.
Second.
Councilwoman Taylor, second by Councilwoman Fuller. There's no discussion, please vote. Passed with 6.
Ordinance 168, adopting the 2023 Airport Enterprise Fund budget, and there are no amendments.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Taylor, second by Councilwoman Fuller. There's no discussion, please vote.
The tornado warning is in Bossier and Keithville, Stonewall.
Bossier, Keithville, Stonewall. Motion passed with 6.
Okay. Ordinance 169, adopting the 2023 Water and Sewerage Fund budget, no amendments.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Taylor, second by Councilwoman Fuller. There's no discussion, please vote.
Got it.
Motion passed with 6.
Ordinance 170, adopting the 2023 budget funding contractual services provided to Sportran by Metro Management Associates Incorporated, and there is one amendment. The contractual services increased to $15,125,350 from $15,125,400.
So moved on the amendment.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Taylor, second by Councilman Jackson.
Okay.
If there's no discussion, please vote. Passed with 6.
So moved on the ordinance as amended.
Moved by Councilwoman Taylor, second by Councilman Jackson. As amended. No further discussion, please vote. Councilwoman Taylor. Passed with 6.
Ordinance 171, adopting the 2023 Downtown Parking Enterprise Fund budget, and this one has one amendment.
So moved on the amendment.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Fuller, second by Councilwoman Taylor. There's no discussion, please vote. Passed with 6.
So moved as amended.
Second.
Councilwoman Fuller, second by Councilwoman Taylor. As amended.
Aye.
Can we tear it up?
What's that, 171? Moved by Councilwoman Fuller, second by Councilwoman Taylor. No discussion, please vote. Pass with 6.
Ordinance 172, adopting the 2023 Convention Center Enterprise Fund budget.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Taylor, second by Councilwoman Fuller. There's no discussion, please vote. Pass with 6.
Ordinance 173, adopting the 2023 Convention Center Hotel Enterprise Fund budget.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Taylor, second by Councilwoman Fuller.
Mr. Chair, just from Homeland Security, there's probably going to be a storm hit downtown in about the next 10 or 15 minutes, so we would advise everybody that's inside to remain inside until after it's over.
Eyes on the E.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Chair.
you. Please vote.
Let's finish this meeting. We can run.
Order of pizza. Motion passed with 5.
Ordinance 174, adopting the 2023 Debt Service Fund budget.
Moved.
Moved by Councilwoman
Second.
Taylor, second by Councilwoman Fuller. On 174. Moved by Councilwoman Taylor, second by Councilwoman Fuller.
Sorry.
If there's no discussion, please vote. And it's the Taylor.
Sorry.
Motion passed with 6.
Ordinance 175, adopting the 2023 Solid Waste Enterprise Fund budget.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Nicholson, second by Councilwoman Fuller. If there's no discussion, please vote. Motion passed with 6.
Okay. Ordinance 176, adopting the 2023 Street Special Revenue Fund budget, and there are 2 amendments. The first amendment transfers to capital projects fund increase to $8,827,100 from 0.
Moved by Councilman Jackson,
Second.
second by Councilwoman Taylor. If there's no discussion, please vote. Motion passed with 6.
And the second amendment is to transfer funds from Street Special Revenue Fund to capital projects to fund a traffic control signal at Florner Lucas and Wallace Lake Road, and this is a companion amendment.
I mean, what he said.
Councilman Butcher.
Second.
Well, the companion legislation.
I know, we're gonna vote it
failed,
down.
So you could, okay,
Yeah, I mean, we have to vote on it.
all right.
I think so too.
It was moved in second.
Yes.
Okay, and please vote. Motion failed.
And then as amended.
So moved. Moved by Councilman Jackson,
Second.
second by Councilman Nicholson. No discussion, please vote. Motion.
Well, hang on. Did we just fail to adopt the street special revenue fund budget?
Yeah.
Well, we did. Motion to well, I mean, who's the prevailing side?
Well, the party, the members that defeated the motion, so voted no, were in the prevailing side, so we need to.
Because we just
So
voted
that's
against
all
the
of us.
amendment, yeah.
We need to reconsider that and adopt the budget.
So move to reconsider.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Taylor, second by
Well, no,
I can't do it.
It's gotta be
It's the
moved by a
person-
person who voted no.
And second
Okay,
by
all
someone
right,
who voted
and-
no. My bad, sorry.
Moved by Councilwoman Taylor, second by Councilman Jackson.
Mr. Chairman, did Amendment 1 pass?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, Amendment 1 passed, Amendment 2 failed.
No. Take it back. It failed.
Which one? Amendment 1?
One failed.
The red light failed.
Okay, that's Amendment
That's
2.
two.
Amendment 1, which was the $8 million
That's
passed.
Good.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
So,
You should be saying, that's not good that 2 failed too. He got his money, I didn't get mine, he's happy.
or we could reconsider it all and peel off
No.
500,000 of that 8 million for Councilman Butcher. Okay.
So we're voting yes for this
Yes
one?
to reconsider, and then we gotta vote yes to adopt.
Okay.
Motion passed with 6.
Move to adopt.
Second.
Adopted by Councilman Nicholson, second by Councilwoman Taylor.
Y'all didn't like that traffic light so much you voted no for it twice.
Almost 3 times.
I think what we're gonna do is rotate daily for all of us sitting up here to go out there and direct traffic. So who's gonna take the first watch?
I'm gonna go last. Motion passed with 6.
I'm gonna go with Mr. Settle with his bike riding.
Okay, ordinance
Okay, I'll be there.
Ordinance 177, adopting the 2023 Diversion Program Special Revenue Fund budget.
So move.
Second.
Moved by Councilwoman Taylor, second by Councilman Nicholson. If there's no discussion, please vote. Somebody didn't hit it. Councilman Nicholson. Motion passes 6. That, Madam Clerk. Y'all hit the button.
Yay!
Madam Clerk, is there any table legislation to be removed from the table today?
None to my knowledge.
Alright. And no appeals? No property standards? Zoning, that's it. Any communications, Madam Clerk, is there a clerk's report?
Yes. The following letters of appointments were received from the mayor's office on December 7th, 2022 and December 8th, 2022, and are subject for confirmation on January 10th, 2023. SPAR Division Manager Chandred Houston, Northwest Louisiana Finance Authority Patrick Brown, Industrial Development Board Carol Smith, and Human Relations Commission Sherry Kerr, Reverend Roosevelt Seabury, and Dr. Michelle Wolkemer.
Those are reappointments. Some of those are reappointments, right? All right. Any additional communications from administration?
None at this time, Nancy.
Any council member have any additional communication?
I did.
Be safe.
My grandmama said when the Lord is doing his work, y'all need to be quiet and be still.
My grandmother in the closet.
Any other council member? No executive session is none. I beat it by 8 minutes. If there's no other communications, this meeting is adjourned.
Jared, Ms. Haywood, your area? Ms. Haywood, your area?